Hello, and welcome to Movie Show. Today, we'll look at a 2000 movie called Gone in 60 Seconds. Spoilers ahead. The movie starts outside a Porsche dealership on a Sunday night. Three happy car shoppers, Kip Raines, Mirror Man, and Freb, are looking for a brand new 911. Kip is a bit too anxious and can't wait for opening hours. He grabs his trusty tool from the trunk while Mirror Man frantically follows him. The tool effectively unlocks the front door and the two distinguished gentlemen let themselves into the dealership. They break into the key box and drive off with it. Kip's looking crew is in an old warehouse where a lot of cars are already stashed. The looking crew is staring at a hidden list of cars which is revealed by a black light. Meanwhile, Kip is enjoying his new ride. The new Porsche gives him the confidence to talk to girls.
Hey, yo, Mom, let me get your number!
Kip drives recklessly and ends up putting many cops on his tail. They chase him to the warehouse and Kip, and the crew, have to leave the cars behind and run. Before leaving, they quickly grab car keys from three Benzes, and the black light. The light breaks as the crew is escaping, but fortunately, no one is caught. Detective Roland Castlebeck arrives at the warehouse, and realizes that it was the work of some professional crew. The car thieves manage to break into and steal the cars without causing significant damage. The detective figures that they may have used special keys to gain access to some of the cars. He orders his partner, Detective Drykoff, to find out which dealer sold the special keys. He also asks him to impound all the cars. As he leaves, Castlebeck steps on the black light glass shards and picks a sample. The next day, a guy named Randall Memphis is teaching kids how to race at a go-kart track. Memphis used to be a legendary car thief who retired some years ago. He is visited by an old acquaintance, Atlee, who is also part of Kip's crew. Atlee tells Memphis that his little brother, Kip, is in trouble. Kip took a job from a local mobster named Raymond Calitri to deliver 50 cars, but he failed. Atlee explains that the mobster is a dangerous man and will kill Kip if the order is not completed. As Memphis decides to go talk to Calitri, Kip is caught by Calitri's men. Memphis arrives at Calitri's scrapyard and tries to negotiate his brother's release. Calitri tells Memphis that he will have to deliver 50 cars in 4 days or his entire family will be killed. Memphis has left the life of crime behind and he's hesitant to take the job, but when Calitri gives the order to crush Kip in a car crusher, Memphis agrees to take the job. Memphis takes Kip home where Kip prepares a delicious meal that Memphis enjoys. It is apparent that Kip is not doing well. Meanwhile, the detectives visit an informant, Fuzzy, who tells them that there was a call for a bunch of top-end cars. He does not know who made the call, but he knows the deadline is in 72 hours. Memphis decides to visit his mother, who works as a waitress at the local diner. Memphis explains everything to his mother and she tells him to do anything he can to save his little brother's life. As Memphis is leaving the diner, Detective Castlebeck and his partner stop Memphis. Detective Castlebeck was investigating Memphis back when he was a criminal, but Memphis quit crime before Castlebeck could get him locked up. The detectives inform Memphis that due to his criminal history, and the coincidence that he happened to be in town during a major crime investigation, he is a major suspect. They warn Memphis that if he does anything illegal while he is in Long Beach, they'll put him behind bars for the rest of his life. That evening, Memphis goes to his mentor, Otto, who owns a workshop. He explains the whole situation to Otto and asks for his help. Otto has made a good honest life for himself and he doesn't want to lose it. However, he still wants to help Memphis, so he agrees to do the job. Memphis and Otto spend the next day gathering a team. Most of the guys they call are either dead or in jail. He asks a fed-up driving instructor, Donnie, to join his team. Donnie agrees. He also asks Sphinx to join. Sphinx is a mortician who can't speak. Finally, he goes to talk to Sway, who is a mechanic/bartender. Sway doesn't want to get caught up in crime anymore, so she refuses. Memphis, who's trying to convince her at the bar where she works, tells her how he has only a couple of days left to deliver 50 cars to Calitri, but she still won't do it. Memphis leaves the bar disappointed when an old rival gang jumps him. They want him to leave the town or they will kill him. Right then, Sphinx shows up, beats the hell out of the gang members, and saves Memphis's life. That night, Memphis and Kip are having drinks when Memphis looks at a picture of his late father, who was a car salesman. He thinks if his father was still alive, both the brothers would have been working at some dealership. Kip is not a fan of his brother's newfound ethics, and believes that Memphis is self-righteous. Kip argues that he is better than Memphis, since he would never abandon his friends or family. Memphis only hopes that Kip will leave the criminal life. The next morning, Memphis and his crew are looking at the list of cars that he has to deliver to Calitri when Kip drops by with his crew. Kip and his crew want to help, But Memphis wants to keep Kip out of it. The brothers start arguing, but Otto convinces Memphis to let them join, because they need more men for the job. Kip has an inexperienced, but talented crew with Mirror Man acting as the technical expert. Tumbler, who's a great driver. Toby, who can hack into any database, and Freb, who's just their errand boy. While they're discussing this, Castlebeck finds out that a guy named James supplied Kip with special keys that they used to steal the cars during the earlier failed boost. The detectives talk to James, who promises to tell them if anyone asks for the special keys again. Meanwhile, Memphis has a plan to steal all the cars in one night. They start getting the locations of the target vehicles by hacking databases and using old-school stakeouts. For example, Toby hacks into an insurance database, while Memphis disguises as a rich man, and charms a car salesman into revealing the location of a car dealership warehouse, and the car models likely to be found there. They now know where to find the 50 cars promised to Calitri. When Memphis and Atlee are discussing the delivery location of the cars, Sway, who had previously declined Memphis' offer, comes there and joins the crew. Meanwhile, Tumbler goes to pick up the special keys from James, who is now working with the detectives. James puts the detectives on Tumbler's tail. Tumbler leads the detectives to their new headquarters. Since putting a tail on Memphis will be risky, Castlebeck decides to ambush Memphis when he comes to steal the rare car models, which Tumbler picked the special keys for. Castlebeck orders 3 surveillance teams to be set up at the location of the rare car models. At the end of that day, Memphis finally goes to see the 1965 GR500, that he calls Eleanor. It's the one car he's never been able to steal, because something goes wrong every time. That night, as Kip and Memphis are going home, the rival gang stops him in the middle of the road, and starts shooting at their car. The brothers somehow make it out of the car alive, run through the suburbs, and hide in a restaurant, near a cop car. They cause a scene with the gang's car, which attracts the attention of the cops in the area. The next morning, Freb brings a random boosted car to the headquarters. He says that he stole the car from Chinatown. Apparently, the car was left on the street, with the car keys in the ignition. When they open the trunk, they find a huge stash of heroin. Just then, Castlebeck decides to pay them a visit. They hide the heroin, and distract Castlebeck enough to not get caught. The crew can't figure why Castlebeck was sniffing close. However, Castlebeck was only there to gather more information. The detective figures out that Memphis is going to steal some cars that night, since the crew had listed the badge numbers of the cops who'd be on call that same night. At night, Memphis and the rest of the gang start stealing the cars. They go to the car warehouse to steal the targeted Ferraris, and they deliver every car to a designated spot on the docks. Some cars are rather easy to steal, but for some cars, they have to improvise. For one car, Mirror Man disguises himself as a valet, and steals it right in front of the owner. While trying to steal an expensive Lamborghini, Sway and Memphis start talking about how their relationship ended, because Memphis left the crime world so suddenly. They even get a little intimate while waiting. Meanwhile, Castlebeck and his teams are keeping their eyes on the 3 rare cars, which Tumbler picked the special keys for. As soon as Memphis tries to steal one of the cars, he spots a van that looks out of place. The van, actually is one of the surveillance vehicles. Memphis quickly stops everyone, and asks them to come back to the headquarters. Memphis figures out that the dealer who gave them the keys sold them out. They are almost ready to call the whole thing off, when they remember that they still have keys to the cars, which the detectives impounded at the start of the movie. Those cars still are in the police impound. As a last-ditch effort, Memphis decides to steal them. In a twist of events, Otto's dog has swallowed those old keys. They give some laxatives to the dog, and walk it around to get the keys. Meanwhile, Castlebeck and Drykoff pick up some information from Fuzzy, that Memphis is stealing cars for Calitri. He also figures out that the glass shards, which he picked at the start of the movie, are from a black light. He also figures out how to read the empty blackboard that they found at the old crime scene, and gets the list of cars that Memphis is targeting. Castlebeck decides to put some of the rare cars, including the GT500, under surveillance. He knows Memphis, and believes that he'll try and steal Eleanor last. On the other hand, Freb and Toby get the keys from the dog's poop. Sphinx, Sway, and Memphis go to the impound to steal the cars with the old special keys, while Mirror Man distracts the guard. As the crew keeps bringing in more and more cars, Memphis finds out that they only need 3 more cars to finish the job. Sphinx and Mirror Man are trying to boost a rare Humvee when some cops try to stop them. To make things worse, there's a snake in the car, but Sphinx just rams through the cop car and gets the Humvee to the docks. During all of this, Kip is in a suburb where he is looking to steal an SUV, But as they try to leave with the car, things go sideways. A cop at a roadblock starts shooting at them, and Toby gets shot. They somehow bring him to the docks, and then they take him to a doctor. The only car left now is the GT500, that Memphis calls Eleanor. Memphis loves this car, but it has always given him problems, and he's never been able to boost it. He goes to the car with Sway, and as soon as he starts driving, Castlebeck and Drykoff show up. Sway buys Memphis some time, but Castlebeck starts speeding after Memphis, and a chase ensues. Dozens of cops are after the GT500, and Memphis uses traffic and tight streets to get away. He almost crashes the car into a garbage truck, but survives. A chopper is on his tail and he tries to hide in some neighborhood streets. That's when the car dies down, and Memphis almost gets caught. The car starts up just in time for him to get away. While Memphis is trying to bring the car back to the docks, Atlee tells Kip that his brother left the crime world to make sure that Kip doesn't follow him in the city. Memphis tears through shipyards to shake the cops from his tail, and even succeeds. He's on a bridge that goes straight to the docks, when he has to stop at a roadblock. With the cops chasing him, Memphis decides to jump the car over the roadblock. He somehow gets to the docks, but he's told that the time's up. He goes to have a talk with Calitri, but that backfires, and Calitri gives the order to kill him. Just as he's about to get shot, Kip and Atlee save his life. Memphis is angry, and he goes to Calitri's office and beats him up, but Calitri pulls out a gun, and Memphis has to run away. As Calitri is chasing Memphis, Castlebeck arrives there. Calitri shoots at Castlebeck's hands, and he is ready to kill Castlebeck, but Memphis pushes Calitri over the fence. Calitri dies from the fall, and Castlebeck lets Memphis go for saving his life. Memphis also tells Castlebeck the location of the stolen cars. The film ends with all the gang having lunch at Otto's shop. Sphinx, who has been mute for the entire film, finally speaks, and people find out that he's British. Meanwhile, Kip gives Memphis a worn-out GT500, and Memphis takes off in it with Sway.